So, for those of you who are just joining us, this is the NOAA Text and ELA webinar where we're talking about using evidence-based practices and research to support readers using the NOAA Text reading tool. And we're going to dive more into that in a few moments. While we are getting everybody started, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items. But first, I'll tell you a little bit about ELA, today's sponsor. The Educating All Learners Alliance is a coalition of organizations dedicated to producing and sharing resources, programs, and events just like this to support students with disabilities and students with learning differences. And if you're just joining us, we're going to you can say hello, type your name in the chat, let us know who you are, where you're from, and what your role is in the world of education. And great, we've got some folks populating the chat right now. All right. So once again, we are here for using evidence-based methods to increase reading skills for striving, dyslexic, and ELL readers. This is a webinar hosted by ELA with NOAA Text and the Rhode Island Tutorial and Educational Services. Awesome. I see some folks in the chat saying hello. So let's dive into our, let me introduce you to our speakers today, our presenters. We have Sarah K. Blodgett from NOAA Text. Pulling up my screens here. Sarah K. Blodgett is the founder and CEO of NOAA Text. She's a skilled researcher and writer. She founded NOAA Text in 2016 after advocating for her dyslexic child. And prior to NOAA Text, Sarah worked as a senior paralegal for many years in Connecticut. And since its release, NOAA Text's patented method has received ongoing recognition from structured literacy experts, specialists, and educational professionals. It was selected as an Innovation Showcase panelist by the Software Information Industry Association, SIIA. With us today, Sarah is continuing to expand NOAA Text technology through their tools and publications through partnership and development. Her fervent mission is to make sure NOAA Text is available in all print and digital media for all readers. Our other guest today is Lisa Bigney, the co-director of the Rhode Island Tutorial and Educational Services. Lisa is a certified dyslexia interventionist and a co-director of the Rhode Island Tutorial Educational Services, serving students and adults with learning disabilities, specializing in multisensory methods. Her specialties include learning disabilities, dyslexia, attention deficit disorder, Asperger's, and Orton-Gilliam instruction. Lisa founded Rights in 1977. This is the nonprofit that serves Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. Rights employs more than 40 certified and highly qualified experienced teachers using research-based approaches for students of all ages. Prior to founding Rights, Lisa was a special education teacher. Lisa's earned her Master's of Ed at Harvard and her Master's of Ed at Lesley College in Computers Education. So we've got fantastic guests and speakers here for you today. I see some more folks are joining in. We're saying hello in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you do in the world of education. And let's dive in to our next slide so we can go over some housekeeping items just to make sure everything runs smoothly today so we can all have the best experience. Our presenters will be speaking and sharing their screen, and attendees, our microphones will stay off until the very end when we have a chance to ask some questions. But until then, you can use the chat. Feel free to type and ask questions or add comments at any time during the presentation. You can also use the drop-down menu on the chat if you want to directly message the hosts and panelists. Lisa and I will be monitoring the chat to check out your questions and see how we can support. You may have noticed that this is being recorded. We're doing this so that we can share this on ELA's YouTube page and we can reference it in the future. But sensitive information or personal stories that may come out or in the chat, that will be edited out to protect privacy after the final recording. I have the closed caption enabled so that if you want, you can turn yours on and off by clicking the box that says CC on your control bar. This won't affect what anybody else sees. It's just for your preference. Finally, there's going to be links and email addresses, resources, and slides, all of that shared in the chat. So after the webinar, in a couple of business days, I will make sure that all that information gets emailed to you and all of the attendees who signed up that might not have been able to join us today. So don't feel like you need to hurriedly take down notes, or if you missed something, you've missed it forever. We're going to make sure that everybody gets this recording and the slides in an email afterwards. All right, and let's look ahead to what are we going to do today in this webinar. Oh, I see we've got somebody watching from the Philippines up bright and early. It's great to have you, Mohammed. We've got Jessica from Hawaii. Awesome. Folks who've just joined in, let us know where you're calling in from or watching in from. So what are we talking about today when we're talking about NOAA-TEX? We're going to look at the development and research. We're going to talk about who were the early adopters of NOAA-TEX. We're going to take a look at the current studies and the science, as well as new and current tools. And most interesting for me, at least, I can't wait to see, how do we use this with our students? And finally, there's going to be time for questions. So feel free to type in the chat if you want, but at the end, you can utilize the raise hand feature, and I will help you out if you want to come off mute and share your question. But between now and then, we're going to get lots of great information from the NOAA-TEX and Rights staff. So with that, I pass it over to Sarah K. Blodgett, CEO and founder of NOAA-TEX, to kick off today's presentation. Take it away, Sarah.
Great. Thank you so much, Aurora. And thank you all for attending today. So my journey started in 2003. I can't believe it's been that long, 20 years ago, when my son, who struggled with reading, he was really having a difficult time. He was essentially in a whole language program. We were trying to bring phonics into the system and structured literacy, but we weren't really making any progress. So I was tutoring him at home in phonics, but he was struggling. So I turned to Dr. Miriam Turkis-Jolkowski out of the University of Connecticut, very well known as an expert in literacy and learning. So she recommended an explicit systematic linguistic program, essentially attuning him to critical word patterns, mainly linguistic rhymes and syllables. So we went through this program with my son, and he did phenomenally well. I mean, he was learning the structure of words, and it was very concrete and common sense, and it really brought it all together. And at the end, he was reading at a solid 4th to 5th grade reading level. However, what we discovered is he was struggling with higher level reading when he was trying to tackle those higher level books. And what we found is he was disfluent, essentially in reading higher level books. And what I mean by disfluency is he'd be reading along, and every 15, maybe 20 words, he'd come across a word he didn't recognize as readily. And what do you do in that situation? You stop, you break a word in parts, you decode it, and you move on. But if this is happening every 15 or 20 words, that's choppy reading. It's disfluency. It affects your ability to comprehend what you're reading. You don't feel good about reading, and you check out. And what I've discovered is a lot of kids get stuck at this 4th to 5th grade reading level. And even kids that didn't have issues, didn't struggle in the earlier years, can be disfluent in higher level reading. So it's pretty common. So since I had been working with Miriam, and was so attuned to making critical patterns visible through working this program, I intuitively went into my son's higher level books, and I took a pencil and I segmented the syllables. I slashed out the syllables in words I knew he would struggle with. And it was amazing. I gave him training wheels for higher level books, and he really took off with it. So when I did this years ago, the idea stayed with me. I thought, someone needs to put this into books because there are so many kids that struggle. And as mentioned at the beginning, my background is in research as a paralegal for years. So I'd already done, tons of literacy research. So it really bothered me because I knew there were a lot of individuals really struggling with this issue. So in 2012, after a few years, I contacted Miriam again, and I said, I want to create some type of text to put into books to help with this issue. Is this a crazy idea? And she said, no, not at all. I totally support you. So I thought, okay, here we go. I delved further into research. I thought if I'm going to make a business out of this, I better know what I'm doing. And I came across all this cross-linguistic research, scholarly articles, mainly out of Europe, that really opened my eyes and really informed the development of what became Noah text. So I discovered that 50% of our language is of foreign origin as we adopt loan words from all over the world. We have a melting pot language. So we have all these different spelling patterns that are thrown into our writing system. And what's interesting, a lot of countries, mainly out of Europe, highly regulate the adoption of loan words. And this has kept their writing system very predictable and transparent. So they don't have the issues that we do for students learning to read. So the research shows that we have a rate of dyslexia that's 2 to 3 times higher than most other countries because of this issue. Our kids require 2 to 3 times more instruction and practice compared to most other countries to become proficient readers. Phonological awareness is a much greater issue. Decoding is a much greater issue, and pattern recognition is much more difficult. So what I have found through all this research is that kids in these more transparent languages have the ability to self-teach. Patterns pop. So for instance, in Finland, most kids, when they start school, they know how to read. Because they had the ability to self-teach. Kids that start school that aren't fully reading within 6 to 9 months, they're pretty much taking off. And it's really interesting. We assess our students pretty early on for phonological awareness. And if they test low in phonological awareness, it takes years to remediate. But again, in a country like Finland, it takes 6 to 9 months to hit ceiling. And what they're finding is that their predictable writing system ameliorates this issue. Again, they have the ability to see these critical patterns and self-teach. So this is what Noah text looks like. What I discovered in experimenting with kids and students is I had to keep words intact. So you see the syllables are bolded and unbolded. I found when I experimented with spacing the syllables out or having dashes or divots or anything like that, it slowed the students down. So that's a critical piece, keeping it intact. And then as well, I added the clear vowel identifier, because that is something that transparent languages have, similar to the acute accent mark. So I mark the long vowels. So Noah text is not a font. It is a word level scaffold that you can apply to any font. However, some fonts show it better than others. You want to use fonts that really show the bolding, the contrast to the bolding and the marking. So what we're really doing here is embedding structured literacy into print. We're doing it in a very intuitive way. It's, very subtly highlighting these features. So it's not a crazy marking system where we're putting a code on top of a code. So the feedback that we've gotten from students that have used it since 2016 is that it is very intuitive. Most students take right off with it. They just read. They see it and they take right off with it. Some at first look at it and they're like, what the heck is this? And in that instance, the teacher can just show them the syllables, the bolding, unbolding, remind them what syllables are, tap out a few words, and, remind them what a long vowel is. A long vowel says its own name, and show them marking. And soon after, they take right off with it. So I was very outspoken. I have been very outspoken for years about structured literacy. It's a critical thing. However, when I released this in 2016, I thought, we are all stuck with this man-made writing system, and we really need to come together, regardless if you're in the balanced literacy camp or the whole language camp or whatever. We need to come together and recognize this issue. And NOAA can help with any curriculum that you're working with, or even outside of a curriculum. But I put this graph together to show it really honors every discipline. So if you look to the left, whole language, the premise behind the philosophy of whole language is if you immerse kids in lots of great literature, reading will come naturally. Well, we know that's not true. Most kids need to see need structured literacy. They need to see it and be exposed to it. But if they're not getting that, NOAA text will really help them. And applying NOAA text to any piece of literature does not alter it in any way. So if you look to the right, we have the evidence of phonics that NOAA text honors as well. Onset rhyme instruction, vowel identification, syllable segmentation. These are all things we know enhance phonological awareness and fluency. And these features are embedded in NOAA text. It honors the research, the cross-linguistic research that show predictable word patterns. Word patterns need to be visible to the reader. So that is in NOAA text, as well as the science of linguistics. We know that the rhyme and syllables are key for phonemic awareness. So NOAA text, as I mentioned, was released in 2016. I initially released it in a set of chapter books. It was a trilogy of books that I actually wrote. And immediately, the structured literacy teachers started using it. The Orton Gillingham teachers, the Wilson teachers. In fact, Lisa's clinic in Rhode Island, their teachers started using it in 2016. And immediately, they told me that, we work with kids with marking, the syllables and working with them and breaking down, the critical parts. And we've gone into books and we've marked, critical parts just like, I did all those years ago. And then they started telling me that, the chapter books, that these were the first chapter books the students had ever read, authentic chapter books, including adult students. And then they were also getting students to volunteer to read out loud because it was in NOAA text. And that's an exciting thing, because when you struggle to read, you don't volunteer to do that. And they were seeing that because of NOAA text. So then in 2017, I started doing professional development workshops through the Correctional Education Association. So that these represent all the teachers that work in our prisons. And the reason I got involved in that is through all my research. I discovered that the rates of illiteracy is really horrendous in our prisons. One statistic shows that 60% of our inmates are functionally illiterate. So I started doing workshops and I started getting feedback, again, positive results from the students that were using it in the prisons. And through my work, through the years of doing that work, I met New Century Education Foundation. That was in 2019. So New Century Education has been working in prisons for years. They are a nonprofit that provides K through 12 software instruction for deeply underperforming students. So when I met them, they looked at what I was doing and thought, why don't we put your books in our software and we can create a special strand for really struggling readers and dyslexic students. So we ended up partnering as well with Michigan State University, and we performed, we created this group whereby we took my chapter books, immersed them into the software, and then we developed lessons around each chapter. And we focus on vocabulary, morphology, word roots, synonym, antonyms. We provide comprehension strategies with background knowledge, and all the lessons are highly scaffolded surrounding the chapters. Everything is in NOAA text, and it's available and highly effective for students stuck at that grade 4, between the grade 4 and 6th grade reading level, essentially. So this software is now being used in some public schools as well as in prisons, and we've been studying it, and we've had phenomenal results. So we've studied it with adult prison inmates that are reading disabled and English language learners as well in that setting. We've studied it with middle school students with emotional and behavioral disorders, high school and middle school students with dyslexia. And then as well, we've collected observational reports from the earlier users, the structured literacy specialists, reports from them through the years, and we collected that data. And essentially, we're finding that NOAA text is, supporting working memory. It's anchoring readers to the text. It's eliminating guessing. When a student gets to a word they don't understand, they can't decode, it eliminates that guessing. They have a tool to break it out and read it through. And we're finding that it's enhancing comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency. And the big thing through these studies is we're finding that it's transferring over to plain text. So it's building their overall skill that they can transfer to plain text reading. So that's a huge benefit. So it's very exciting. So one of the studies we did was in Rhode Island at Lisa's clinic. And it was a 2-week study. It was a summer program. It was 10 days. So it was 10 mornings working with some severely dyslexic middle school students. So we were able to isolate NOAA text and see how it would compare to plain text. And what we did is we did 1-minute dibble time-ins with the students and comparable timings, whereby we did normal text and NOAA text. And we found that in the first read, the students on average read 15 more words per minute in NOAA text over the plain text readings. And then when we did it a second time, they read 9 to 10 more words per minute on average in NOAA text versus plain text. And they read more accurately. They had fewer errors. So when we did this study, it was initially supposed to be 4 weeks, but because of COVID, it was cut back to 2 weeks. So the researchers at MSU were like, we're not going to get really any data out of this. It's only 2 weeks. We'll get social validity data. Well, we got phenomenal data. We moved the dial, and everyone was floored. So in the 2 weeks, we saw the transfer effect. We did a pre-test in plain text. We did a post-test in plain text, and everyone made gains in fluency. At the 3rd grade level, they increased by 15 words per minute. 5th grade, close to 18 words, and 7th grade, 8 words per minute. Most of them gained in comprehension and vocabulary as well. And again, this was all plain text. So it was extremely exciting. So I think the next slides are Lisa, and she's going to, if I remember correctly. Before I get to that, sorry, Lisa, one thing I forgot to tell everyone. So we also did this with inmates as well, the same type of test study, but it was over 2 months. And the feedback, I have to make sure I share it with you. So for the prison inmates, the classroom that we worked with, all of them were in these classes to prep to take the GED equivalent. So when they're out of prison, they have a diploma or high school equivalency. So there were a few students that couldn't even qualify to take the GED equivalent. This was the high set test, actually. This was Louisiana that they were using. So after the 2 months of NOAA text, they were able to qualified to take the test as well as they actually passed it. So that was really exciting. And that was with the New Century NOAA text intervention. And as well, the teachers told us that they all increased their reading such that it affected all their other subjects, history and science. Okay, now to Lisa with her slides, and she's going to discuss how NOAA text really fits into a structured literacy. Okay, thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Sarah. So this is an example of an Orton-Gillingham lesson, which will look familiar to structured literacy, Orton-Gillingham and Wilson teachers. And as Sarah said, I'm going to show you how and why our teachers embed NOAA text into our lessons. This slide shows typical work done in an Orton-Gillingham structured literacy lesson by a student. The students learned how to divide different syllables in order to break the word apart to read with increased accuracy. The student is also identifying the syllable type so they can ascertain the sound of the vowels when reading the words. Teaching students to mark up words is an important part of these structured literacy lessons in Wilson and Orton-Gillingham. So now I just want to show you a slide from a Wilson lesson. And this slide is an example of how the same syllable work is done in the Wilson program. So 2 different marking systems, but they are similar in what they are asking students to do. And often students who've done a lot of this syllable work in their structured literacy training still struggle to transfer or apply these skills that they have learned to reading school texts. So NOAA text assists with this transfer of these skills to reading texts. The syllables are already divided by bolding, and the vowels with long vowel sounds are underlined. This marking system supports the work students have learned about breaking apart words into syllables. It transfers this knowledge to reading authentic text in the real world instead of just using controlled readers. And it allows students to apply the skills they have learned in their structured literacy lessons to novels and school texts. Using NOAA text reduces the cognitive load and the working memory students have to deal with when reading. So this allows for increased comprehension of what they are reading. It's also allowing students to be exposed to more vocabulary by expanding what they can read. And reading in NOAA text models speech more efficiently than stopping to mark up or divide words, giving students the ability to practice reading more smoothly and increase their fluency. For students who don't have the opportunity to have structured literacy training or for multi-language learners, NOAA text can help them read text right away when they might not have been able to approach the same reading in plain text, thus increasing their literacy skills by exposing them to higher levels of vocabulary and ideas.
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
So I've done a lot of presentations with the New Century MSU team, and this is one slide that always gets brought up. And if you're a literacy teacher, you're probably very familiar with it. It's the Scarborough rope. It basically shows the simple view of reading, showing that when students have, good, solid language comprehension skills and solid word recognition skills, skilled reading comes together. And every time the slide gets brought up, I always think, okay, my son had those 2 pieces, but he still was stuck. He was stuck with that fluency piece. And I'm like, okay, where does NOAA text fit into this? So we came up with our own reading rope incorporating NOAA text and a Venn diagram. This was developed by myself, Lisa, Dr. Miriam Cherkis-Strelkowski, and the New Century MSU team. Lisa gave us the idea of application and transfer, whereby learned reading skills must be integrated into substantial reading experiences. This requires a lot of cognitive effort to bring everything together. So briefly, the left shows how students acquire decoding skills. To the right, we show the building blocks of fluency, comprehension, and orthographic mapping. To activate and transfer these skills, we use decodable text and early reading. And outside of that, we can use NOAA text, providing a scaffold which enables readers to see and articulate critical patterns, which helps facilitate orthographic mapping while building fluency and comprehension in wide reading. So orthographic mapping is matching spoken sounds to the spelling patterns that represent them and solidifying those words to memory, making words automatic. It takes about 3 to 4 exposures for an unfamiliar word to be automatic in a typical reader. We know that it requires many more exposures with students that struggle and have dyslexia. I mean, for some students, it could be 50 to 100 exposures for it to become automatic or in their long-term memory. That's where NoaText carries them through, essentially embedding structured literacy in text so that it eventually becomes automatic in plain text reading. So bottom line, we need to immerse kids in reading to take off, and NoaText can do this. Sadly, 54% of U.S. adults read below the 6th grade level. Something needs to be done, and we truly believe NoaText can be a big part of that. So what is NoaText? It's an assistive technology tool. It alleviates a cognitive load, and it provides stamina for these students and individuals. Oftentimes you'll notice struggling readers say, I'm too tired. Reading makes me tired. This eliminates them from feeling tired when they read. And it also eliminates them guessing words. They have, something embedded, so they don't need to do that. And the bigger thing is, it's a teaching device. That's the icing on the cake with this tool, this organic tool. It is providing students the ability and individuals the ability to self-teach, improving their overall skill that transfers to plain text reading. And essentially, it's again giving them the ability to self-teach what we find in predictable writing systems. So we're essentially simulating a predictable language. So NoaText encourages independent reading, and we want more students to read. The more kids read, the better they do in school. The better, they advance more in overall reading. So this is just a graph showing that, kids that read less words per day, they rank, lower in standardized tests. And they're not doing as well compared to their peers that are reading more words per day. You can see the correlation of the more you read, the better you do in school. And there's a term they call the Matthews effect. Students that are struggling, early on and continue to struggle. They never get the ability to read many words, and it really holds them down overall in life. So it truly is the rich gets richer and the poor get poorer. So we've looked at closely again as a team. So what's happening? Why is NoaText so effective? And, research shows that a lot of students get stuck between that 3rd and 5th grade level, which I had mentioned earlier. And the research shows that it's these, higher level words which holds them back. It's the inability to read these higher level words, mainly the multisyllabic words. That really trips them up. Research shows that from 5th grade on, it is estimated that the average student encounters 10,000 words per year that they have never previously encountered in print. Okay, so think about this. You're in 5th grade and you're reading at a 4th grade level. And then every year you get 10,000 new words, leveled on top of you every single academic year. And think about the words that, kids are starting to be exposed to in their academic reading, these tier 2 and 3 words like photosynthesis, osmosis, that really it's overwhelming. And that's where we see NoaText is really making a difference so they can, get into that higher level reading. And another thing to mention that I recently discovered, there are 470,000 English words in our dictionary. So that's quite a bit. So this is a sampling of academic vocabulary that you would find in the higher grades. And this is it in plain text, and then you can see it in NoaText. So you can really see how this structure provides assistance to students. So these are my books that I mentioned earlier. This is what I released in 2016. It's a trilogy of about a boy who travels through time from the age 12 through the age 18. It's a coming of age story. It has a lot of meaningful stories embedded in it, a lot of hooks with short chapters. So it really gets students wanting to keep reading to find out, what's going on in the next chapter. So these are available for sale, on Amazon and on my website and through. Yes, just Amazon, my website. But these are the books that are embedded in the New Century software that was developed with Noah Texton and MSU. So I highly recommend them, the software as well. These books are the Mad Dash series that were written by a Rhode Island author. These are middle school series and very comedic about friends that get into a lot of mischief. These are classics that we have available in ebooks, and they're coming out. Half of them right now are in print, and more are going to be available within the next month. They should all be available both in hardcover and paperback. And these are available in Mackin and Amazon, and you can find them on my website as well. These are books that are approximately grade 2 to 3, the Green Kids Club. They have beautiful illustrations, and the Green Kids Club provide books about animals in the environment, and they collaborate with organizations such as Elephants Without Borders. Here's another sampling. And these are my early readers that are highlight critical rhyme patterns in one-syllable word reading. And here are pictures of me at Lisa's clinic in Rhode Island. The kids reading both the chapter books and the early readers in their classes. So this is where we want to show you tools that you can incorporate into your classroom or at home with your kids or for yourself. So we now have technology, these free conversion tools. We have a demo that we're going to show you in a video, and I'm going to show you right now. Here we go. Hi, everyone. So I am now going to show you how to access and use my free tools with your students. So I'm going to share my screen. Here, you're at my website, notext.com. Up to the right is a button to go directly to the free Strong Reader Builder app, where you can do the drop down and go through products, which I'm going to do to stay on the same browser. So this is the landing page. And right here is where you sign up for a free account. They ask you for all this information. In the future, when you log in, the credentials it will be asking you for is your email address and your password. So since many of you will be using this with your students, you can share your account with them. So thus you would be sharing your credentials. If you do not feel comfortable using your email address and sharing that with them, we have no problem with you using a dummy email address. All that we ask is that you, put in your true name and the name of your school so that we can reach out if we have any questions or need any feedback. So I'm going to go in and log into my account so you can see how it works. Okay, so here is where you can paste in text. Up here is a drop-down where you can decide what type of note text you want to use. The options are syllables plus long vowels, syllables only, and long vowels only. The most popular and the most effective is the syllables plus long vowels. So that's really what I would recommend in most cases. The bottom two options, you won't see. That's because it's here because I'm an administrator. So I'm going to go ahead and press convert, and it automatically converts the text to Noah text. You can then copy it and paste it into a Word doc or a Google Doc, or you can print it directly. And you can paste in pages and pages of text, and it will convert it immediately, like you saw here. So now I'm going to take you up here on the left, you'll see the convert document section. So here you can actually upload Word documents to convert to Noah text. So you can, quizzes that are in Word documents, poetry, articles, short stories, anything that you think would be effective for your students would be great. And you can upload tons of, the document can be huge. I've uploaded books and it's converted to Noah text. So it really is a wonderful tool. So now I am going to show you how to do this. So right up here on the right is the upload document button. So I'm going to press this clip and I'm going to, this takes me to my document folder. Upload it by pressing open. This is a drop down. This gives you the option of, again, the type of Noah text. This gives you the option to change the font. What you saw earlier in when I converted to Noah text, that earlier piece that I pasted in was Courier New, which shows Noah text very well. You can change it here to Verdana, which is very popular, which is my favorite these days, or you can keep it in the original font. However, some fonts don't show Noah text as well as others. You really want to use a font that shows the bolding and unbolding and the underline very clearly. So I'm going to put Verdana here. Up here on the left is a frequently asked question box. In there, I've listed a whole bunch of fonts that I know work well with Noah text. So that's another thing that you can access. These sections here, again, are, you're not going to see this. It's, again, since I'm the administrator, these are little tools that I use. So this right here gives you the option to change the font size. I recommend 14. This gives you the option to change the line spacing, and I recommend 1.5. So that's what we have it set as for automatic. Here is a preserved text formatting that you can check if you need to, but it takes much longer for the conversion to take place. And I would only check it if you have tons of illustrations in the document. But even then, you usually don't need to do it. So you can experiment with this. So I'm going to hit upload. And right here, you'll see that circle. You're going to see it move here, and there you go. The document is ready. So then I hit download, and you'll see it's downloading to your document folder, and then all you have to do is go into your downloads and you'll find the document conversion. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to the Chrome store. So this is where you can access the Strong Reader Builder browser extension. You can upload it to your device. You can upload it to your students' devices. And then from there, you can log in. So once it's uploaded, you'll see a puzzle piece on the top right of your screen. When you click it, it will take you to the extensions that you have on your. Oops, sorry, we lost it. We'll bring it to where it was. It will convert it. Let's open. This is a drop down. This gives you Noah text very well. You can change it here to Verdana, which is very popular, which is my favorite these days. Sorry about this, guys. These sections here, again, are, you're not going to see this. It's, again, since I'm the administrator, these are little tools that I use. So this right here gives you the option to change the font size. If you have the downloads and you'll find the document conversion. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to the Chrome store. So this is where you can access the Strong Reader Builder browser extension. You can upload it to your device. You can upload it to your students' devices. And then from there, you can log in. So once it's uploaded, you'll see a puzzle piece on the top right of your screen. When you click it, it will take you to the extensions that you have on your device. I have two. Here's Strong Reader with the Strong Reader icon. Oops. And then you need to log in from here. I'm going to do this. Okay. Anything else? Oh. Okay, now you can go to settings. Once again, it gives you the option of deciding on the type of NOAA text that you want to use, and the font. Mine is set up for Donna. So now I'm going to take you to some websites that I know NOAA text works well with. This is Dogo News. So here you'll see it automatically changed the website to NOAA text. And go on to some articles. And here automatically to NOAA text. Some websites like this and Time for Kids, which I'm going to go to next, have audio options, and NOAA text doesn't mess with that at all. So you do have the option of using the audio with NOAA text simultaneously, which is great for some kids. So again, here you'll see it in NOAA text and articles, article conversion and NOAA text. So there you have it. It's a phenomenal accessibility tool. So I think that is it. Thank you. Sorry about the video messing up there momentarily. So this is the when I uploaded that Word doc, when I did that video, this was the Word doc that I uploaded. This was an excerpt from Reading in the Brain, and this is a popular book with literacy experts and specialists. And in this excerpt, they're specifically talking about the problem with society with English being so complex and the issues it causes. So who is NOAA text for? We have found across the board, it's highly effective for, so many different groups. And mainly what has been so exciting is that we've made a difference in the most resistant and struggling readers. And I need to add that even adults that, have dyslexia that read fine really like to use NOAA text as well. Even though they read fine, they say that NOAA text gives them more stamina and enables them to read longer for longer periods of time. So as a recap, how can you use these tools with your students? So if you have a student in your class that is not reading at grade level, but they're expected to read grade level text, you can put grade level reading, into the tool so they can access NOAA text. If you're working with a student and you want them to move up higher with their reading, giving them something a little higher, you could check out their Lexile level, go take a higher Lexile level, a slightly higher Lexile level, and put it into NOAA text. You can locate high interest articles on the web with a browser extension. You can create a classroom login so students can load the browser extension onto their devices and use it. You can paste text into a Word doc to convert into Noah text on the free app. I know ReadWorks is a phenomenal website. Unfortunately, my browser extension doesn't work on ReadWorks, but you can copy and paste ReadWorks articles into a Word doc and upload that into my tool. As well, I would upload, worksheets in a doc, quizzes, poems, things like that. As well, you can paste text directly into the app, like I showed you, convert it, copy it, and paste it into your document. And of course, we have the books that I showed you, and the software that is available through New Century Education that you can find on my website. As well, I prepared a listing of websites for you that the browser extension works very well with. I navigated all these kids' websites, and this is a good resource for you. So when we send you the slides, you have a listing that you might want to use with your students. So there's 2 pages worth. As well, I give you all the links to access all the tools that we went over, and as well to Noah text for the books. And finally, I just want to express what our mission is. Our mission is to make Noah text available in all print and digital media, so everyone has access to wide reading. Teachers that work with Noah text, we often hear them say, there should be a Noah text section in the library, just like a large print section. If you're in a school district and there are books that you have that your students are reading that you'd like to see in Noah text, please contact your publishers and have them contact us, and hopefully we can work out an arrangement where we can make those books available for you in Noah text. As well, if you use a reading platform with your students, and you would like a toggle whereby they can choose to have Noah text on the reading platform, but the books are reading, reach out to the reading platform company to contact us, and we could see if we could create that integration. So I think that's it. Thank you so much. And now we'll get to the question period now of our presentation.
Thanks so much, Sarah. This is Aurora from ELA, and I'm about to launch a poll for our folks in the who are watching live with us today. This is a chance to opt in if you want to receive updates from Noah text or just stay in touch. If you say yes to this poll, we'll be able to provide Sarah and her team the email that you used to sign up with today. So with that, if you have a question for Sarah or for Lisa, you can use the raise hand icon. And when I see your hand raised, I'll take you off of mute, or you can type your question right into the chat if you'd like. We are just about 5 minutes away from the end here. So if anybody has any last minute questions or comments that they want to share, now would be the time. And everybody's favorite ELA honorary employee, Marshmallow the cat, just jumped into my lap. For those of you who can see, those of you who've been watching ELA events may recognize Marshmallow's tail. But in all seriousness, Sarah and Lisa, thank you so much for sharing this today. And I found that the video that you created was really, really useful. And I think that could be a great, potentially a tool or something that we could add to the ELA resource library. We got a question in the chat. A lot of my students are still struggling with reading. I'm going to apply this method of Noah text. That's great. Is Noah text primarily used in grades 4th and up? Sarah, can you speak to the intended grade levels for Noah text?
Really, you can use it in any grade. That tends to be our sweet spot because that's when so many kids get stuck in that 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level. But really, you can use it in any grade. And Lisa, you might have something to add to that. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. So you can use it. We have used similar things to the younger kids, but a lot of times the first graders are not really exposed to too many multisyllabic words. So it's not as useful for the younger kids, but it is for the books that Sarah has where it shows the pattern. She has rhyme, RIME books that really show patterns or word families for the younger kids. So using it in that sense really helps as well.
Awesome. And if you're, what are some big, is there anything like new or exciting on the horizon with Noatex? Anything like what are some things we can watch out for that's coming up in the future?
We're definitely going to be working and getting more books out there. And so I'm sure you'll see more books on our website as we move along. In fact, this is a book I recently modified that I didn't mention that's new to Noatex and will be on my website shortly. It's already on Amazon. It's The Richest Man in New Babylon, an inspirational story about money and wealth, reimagined and updated for today's economy. This book is actually used in adult education. It's a fictional book that teaches students how to manage their money. And there's a class,
Oh, wow.
an adult ed class on that. So now they have a Noatex version, which is pretty cool. So, but we are expanding our book collection. I think that we'll keep seeing that.
Awesome. Well, we're just about 2 minutes away from time here, folks. If there's anything else, any other questions or comments in the chat, I will just say thank you so much to Lisa and Sarah. Lisa from Rights, Sarah from Noatex. Folks out there who are listening, watching, whether it's live or recorded, stay in touch. Check out noatex.com. Email sblodgett, SBLODGETT at noatex.com for more information. And if you want to stay updated with new and upcoming events from ELA, we do webinars, workshops, live events, pre-recorded events all the time, all around supporting students with disabilities and students who learn differently. You can visit us at educatingalllearners.org. We've got noatex.com in the chat in case you need to, it's easier to see it written out as we talked about today. And yeah, let's do more webinars in the future. Thanks, Mohammed. We're always trying to get this great information out there. I have a question. Yes, I will be providing the slides via email in a couple of business days when I have the recording and everything, all of the resources compiled. I'll send everything in an email so that you can check this out again. Can share it out with folks in your network. They can watch it on YouTube, get in touch with Sarah and Lisa and stay in touch. All right, everybody. That's about it for us today. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yes, Mohammed, we don't have certificates, but I can follow up with you to provide proof that you attended, like a attendance confirmation. I can email it to you. Okay, everybody, have a good one.
And thanks so much, everyone. Take care.